Hey, good morning. Okay. Yeah, so what you're looking at here is we had done, we had actually set up routing for reverb. So you'll see like at the very end of the track listing in the mix window, you have a reverb and a delay. We had set them up for the main vocals. We kind of pushed some basic levels up for these guys. And then I showed them how to write automation, volume automation for the bus sends. What I can do you have a hard drive or a flash drive?
No.
Okay. Will you have access to one at all? Or,
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what I could do is, I didn't bring my hard drive today, but if you could bring one in on Monday, or on Monday I'll bring my hard drive in so that I can dump this over and maybe post it to YouTube and send it to you, just some quick snippets of what you missed.
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah, we're gonna kind of pick up where we left off. So in that session where you left off is best. So hey guys, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get the sign-in sheet around. You can just toss that around, and you can open up the session that we were just in. Or, you don't have to bother doing the import. You can open up the session, the one last call on light. Hopefully you have it saved to where you were last, because we at last had stopped working with reverb and a basic short delay. And what we're going to do next is, in this next phase, we're going to set up two things. One, we're going to set up a delay in pre-mode, or I'm sorry, a reverb in pre-fader mode, and then we're going to set up a long special effect delay. Okay, so we're essentially going to try to get those two things accomplished today, and then hopefully we'll be able to move in next week to talking a little bit more about extra processing. So what I want you to do is, if you get your session up, the first thing we're going to do is, we originally had created a reverb and a single reverb and a single delay in stereo. What we're going to do now is, I want you to go ahead and start by creating two new aux sends or aux inputs in stereo. So Command-Shift-N, and you're going to create two stereo aux inputs. Now we're going to do these like we did them on Monday. So go ahead and create them, and you're going to go ahead and name them and route them. You're going to go ahead and name them and route them. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't push two on mine. In one swoop, essentially. So what we're going to do with these is, this is going to be, the first one we're going to use here is going to be an ambient verb. So you can just type in for your first aux 1, ambient verb. And I'll zoom in so you can see it. So we're going to set up an ambient verb for the choir. And then after that, the next one is going to be your long delay. So you're going to use Command and the right arrow to toggle to the next name track. The next one is going to be long delay. You could literally just put L delay. Sometimes you could call it effects delay, but again, you're going to make 2 aux input tracks. They need to be in stereo. First one's going to be ambient verb, and the second one's going to be long delay or L delay. Okay. So let's get those set up. What we're also going to do is we're going to pre-plan the bus routing. So on Monday, we set up bus 1, 2, and 3, and 4. In this particular session, since we have only used bus 1, 2, 3, and 4, what could we use as our next 2 bus inputs for our next 2 auxes that we have?
5, 6, 7, 8.
Exactly, right? So you're going to go ahead and do that. You're going to bus the new aux inputs to bus 5, 6, 7, 8 on the input. All right, so your input routing, and we did this last time, your input routing for this group here, the last 2 that you just put, and you're going to move them all the way to the right, so they're all the way to the right, is going to be bus 5, 6, and bus 7, 8 on the input. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Raise your hand and wave at me if you got that far. Okay. Let me just give these guys just a moment to get caught up. So we need 2 new stereo auxes. You already. Oh yeah, you're gonna leave yours bus because you should have your. But here are your new ones. Okay. Here are your old ones. So they can say bus 1, 2, bus 3, 4. Right. Bus 1, 2, bus 3, 4. And then your old ones, or the new ones, I'm sorry, click them, drag them, drop them over here. Grab by the nameplate, like right on the there you go. And then you can rename them. It's going to be ambient verb is the first one, and the long delay is the second one. You caught up? Yeah. Ambient verb is aux 1, and long delay is aux 2. Or L delay, you just put L delay. And then yeah, so then those new inputs are going to be bus 5, 6, bus 7, 8. Okay. Bus 5, 6, bus 7, 8. You're all right? Okay. Now that we've done that and the routing is set, our next step is we're going to go ahead and set up the effects for these. So let's go ahead and insert plugins for the ambient verb and the long delay. So on the ambient verb, if you scroll up to the top, you're basically going to put a reverb plugin here. Now, because we only have one option for reverb, it's the deverb. The real difference here is we're going to set this up to have an ambient contour. So when you get that plugin set up there, it's your only reverb that you have. Essentially, you're going to move to ambient in the reverb settings here. You're going to move to ambient, and for now, I want a large. It may end up being too large, but we can back off the decay manually. So you can switch to ambient and large. Once you've done that, you can then go over to the next track that was the long delay. You're going to go to multi-channel plugin and go down to delay. You're going to then go to mod delay 3. And the difference here is we need a long delay, so we're more than likely going to use either a half note or a whole note. So for now, just as a basic starting point, let's go ahead and throw both the left and the right channels into half note values here, and make sure your mix, oh, it's all the way down here. Make sure your mix stays at 100% wet, which means it's going to be full effect. For now, this is where we're going to start, and I'm going to add additional settings for you later. We're also then, when we're done with this, and when all is said and done, we're going to filter this with an EQ. So we're going to add an EQ to this track. So as soon as you're done setting that up, on the long delay, you can go ahead and go back to multi-channel plugin and just go straight to EQ 7-band, and we'll activate a 7-band EQ on there. Now, we're not going to do anything with it yet. I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to set that up, but you're going to have this long delay feed. Now, what was a requirement of the previous delay that we had to do with the delay in terms of additional routing from the delay when we set it up originally, the first one that we did on Monday? In order to make it more believable as a delay, we had to reroute it back into the reverb, right? So if you go look at the original delay path, so in our original effects, we had a reverb, all right? So our first one was a reverb and a delay, but the delay had to be fed back through the reverb, so it was assigned back to bus 1, 2. We're going to do the same thing with the long delay on the one that is your long delay. Also needs to be sent back through bus 1, 2. Easy way to do that, you could go, of course, and put a send here and send it to bus 1, 2. But an easy, quick way to do that is to just hold Option, click, and drag bus 1, 2 over to the long delay track. So it looks just like this. So you're just going to hold Option, click and drag, and drop it on the long delay, send A. Okay? So we basically just need the long delay on send A to be sent to bus 1, 2. In the same way that you had done the previous delay. It looks like you guys maybe, okay, you have yours, you must have missed that step. So let's just, what we're going to do is on send A, we're going to go to bus 1, 2 here. Hold Command for me. And this switches it to this fader view right here. We can do it with this one too. All right, you can let go. Hold, actually, hold Option. And we're just going to drag and copy this here. So that both delays are being sent back to the verb. Okay. Does that make sense? And we just need to put, yeah, here. Hold Command for me. We're going to switch to this view. You can do it by clicking on the arrow here. So you can see these faders here. And then hold Option. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't need it. We're only going to go about, actually look up Option just for a second. Go about halfway. Now hold Option now. And I'm just going to click and drag and copy this over so they're about the same plus the send. So both delays are then feeding the reverb bus as well. So the delays don't sound too sparse. So far, so good? Okay? Everybody else? Did everybody else have that? Okay. Well, one other thing. Maybe, I don't know if you guys missed this when you were setting up your views last week. If you hold Command and you click on the arrow next to the bus, it opens up this version of the bus view. So if it helps you to see these out in this kind of display. Otherwise, the only way that you get to see it is by clicking on it, and then that releases the fader. And let's see if it... And it looks like this. And the only issue with this is you can open up multiples of these by holding Shift. But it becomes kind of cumbersome because they just stack on top of each other. So you could have these, a bunch of these up kind of like this, but it's kind of easier and faster to just use there. But this gives us more information, stuff that we talked about. We will need to use some of that stuff in a second here. So we're all set right now with our new long delay, and we're all set with our new ambient verb. For those who just joined us, get into the session that we were in on Monday, which was that one last call light. And then you need to generate 2 new stereo aux inputs. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We talked about pre versus post fader on Monday. So pre versus post fader. By default, what are we using and what did we use on Monday? Pre or post? Post, right? What was post? What's the thing about post fader sends? Post fader sends do what? Okay. Yeah, okay, so essentially after everything changes, easy definition for it is it follows the main fader. So the volume follows the main fader. So if I on my send here, like in this example, right now we have this volume up here on bus 1, 2. For the vocal, I have it at negative 1.1. Well, in post fader mode, it's negative 1.1 decibels of whatever the main volume fader is. So if my main volume fader is at negative 2, then the output result is actually from the original recording is actually a negative 3.1 in total to the send, which means that if I'm in post fader mode, whatever I do here changes the volume output here. We're going to go into pre-fader mode for the next step, okay? So in the next step, we're going to shift to pre-fader mode, and we're going to build this ambient delay. The goal is to make it sound ambient, and essentially ambience in reverb is just kind of like ambience in lighting, if you've ever heard of an ambient lighting. That's not ambient lighting right there, okay? If you can actually see a light bulb, it's not ambient lighting. Ambient lighting is designed for you to not understand where the source of the light comes from. Does that make sense? So like the word ambient, when it's used in the same way for reverb, is you're not supposed to be able to ideally point to the exact source of the original location that the sound comes from. So what we have to do is we're going to send this group of vocals and try to make them ambient texturally. which means you're not going to be able to easily just identify everything individually. It should sound like it's kind of ghostly, kind of haunting. Essentially, is the goal, right? So in order to do that, you set up your ambient verb. So for those of you, yes.
Oh, go ahead.
So for those of you who just joined us, you needed 2 stereo aux inputs. And in those 2 stereo aux inputs, you're going to set their inputs up for bus 5, 6, bus 7, 8. And then you're going to generate a reverb in ambient mode on one, and then another delay on the other. I'll come around and catch you guys up in a moment. So let me get through this, and I'll have everybody else kind of jump into setting this up real quick. Okay, so what we're going to do, first step here, is let's go look at, we're going to work with the choir. Let's go look at where they exist in the session. Okay, so if you go look in your edit window, you'll see the choir starts at the marker that says chorus 1. And you see the first 4 start to fire, and then the last 2 fire about halfway through. What I want you to do is double click any one of those clips. They are grouped together, so they'll highlight as a group. Then what you can do is you can go to options, loop playback, and let's go ahead and set these up so that we can hear them. And I want you to solo the group. Okay, so you're going to solo all of these choir members, and there's already panning assigned. And then what you can do is just push play, and then you're going to set up the volume so that they're audible, essentially. All right, so go ahead and real quick, just solo those, highlight the clip. All we need you to do is be able to hear them. Once you can hear them, we'll move on to the next step. So you just need you need 2 stereo aux inputs. Good to go, okay. Oh yeah, ambient, the long delay, and then you get on this reverb here, open it up. This one, you're gonna switch it to ambient mode and make it large. And then on your bus input, you're gonna make the bus input 5, 6, and then the next one's 7, 8, okay? So, yeah, so you just jump into, although, you know what, I don't know how you, go back to that real quick. Somehow you did, click on the left of it. Oh yeah, go to the multi-channel version. Yeah, because otherwise that one is a reverb. There you go. In that version that you see there, it kicks it to mono, so now we're back in stereo. While you're there, go ahead and switch it to ambient and large. And then, okay, your bus routing's good. The next one, you're just gonna make this mod 3 delay, so go to delay, mod 3 delay, so your next plugin is going to be delay, mod 3 delay, and when you get there, you're going to set everybody to, you're going to set both left and right channels to half note, okay? So that half note resolution there, the one more over, that, yeah, and then do the same on the other side. So half note resolution on both sides, yeah. At that point, the only thing you need to do is you need to feed your reverb or your delay back into your reverb just like you did this one. So hold option, click and drag it right onto your new delay. Yeah, same thing. So you're just going to put that reverb feed from this one so it goes back to this one just like this one did. So the delays are always sending back to the reverb. So hold option, click and drag it to that last delay. Sorry, I'll be just a second. Make sure everybody's good. Oh, I think it's hit command equals. It doesn't show. Yeah, command. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Oh, okay. So somehow you might have changed. I don't know if you changed the view or somehow the view got changed, but the reason it looks so crazy is because over here, everything's open, and we're going to switch to minimal. So I think we can get rid of this for now. Let's close groups so you can see these guys here. Does that make sense? All right, and then let me just check what you did with the mix window. Did you already add 2 new aux tracks?
No.
Okay, so right on the end, go ahead and hit Command Shift N and create 2 stereo aux tracks. Yeah. Wait, which one? Oh, yeah. I see. What I think what you did is somehow in your view, you got rid of your sends view. So all I did is reactivate it. There we go. Oh, command, and click that little arrow next to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so hold command and click that little arrow next to it. After you're up, this one's going to be called Ambient Verb, and the next one's going to be called Long Delay. You just put that delay. You okay with that? Okay, everybody else good? Everybody else have sound? At least they have those, like, you know, people singing in the background. You got to that part where you have that clip. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to focus on these. We actually have to focus on these in solo mode in order to make them ambient. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're now going to go ahead and feed that group in pre-mode to the ambient verb. So what was the ambient verb bus input number? Bus 5-6. So on the sends of the choir, what we need to do is we need to activate on the sends of the choir bus 5-6. Now we already put them into bus 1-2, and we might do a little bit of feeding there. But notice down in the bank below that you should have bank B empty. What I want you to do is go and activate bus 5-6 real quick. And before you add it to everybody, so don't add it to everybody just yet. What I want you to do is I want you to open up this fader so you can see it. So it looks like this. You do it by clicking on it. So you want to see it in this mode. You're going to hold Option, send the fader to nominal, and switch to pre mode by hitting pre. Okay, so hold Option, and let's copy this. We're going to move this over to this group here, all the way to the right. You actually just click and drag it. Click and drag it. There you go. So, and actually, yeah, just click it on the left and just hit no send. Hit no send on that one. So essentially, the delays are going to feed to the main reverb. Okay, so this delay is feeding to the main reverb, and this delay is feeding to the main reverb, like we had done on Monday. Over here, though, what you're going to do is you're going to add, yeah, actually, you can technically copy these for now. Hold Option, drag the verb over to this one. Yep, and then let go of Option and hold it again, and then drag the delay over to this one. And we're just going to modulate the settings here, so just click this. Click on the verb so it opens. Once it opens, go to ambient and go to large. And large, bingo. And then on the delay, go to half note for both left and right sides. And then you just need to set up your bus input routing to say 5-6 and 7-8. Okay, so 5-6, 7-8. Bus 5-6, bus 7-8. And then in order to see the view the way I have mine, go ahead and hold Command and click on that little arrow next to these guys. There you go, a little arrow down here next to these guys. Okay, so I'm sorry, it took just a moment. So here's what I'm going to have you do. You set the one up. You also need to choose FMP. What did it stand for? FMP. We did this Monday. What did it stand for? Anybody write it down? FMP? Yeah, you might want to just jot it down. FMP on the send stands for Follow Main Panner. We talked about it Monday. What did it do? Follow Main Panner. What did it do? Anybody? Follows the main panner, which means that if, notice that in the choir group, let's look at the first track of the choir 1. Where's the panning position on the main panner? Left. Which means that if we make it follow main panner in the send, then when it sends to reverb, it'll stay left. Does that make sense? Essentially that's the most natural way to send it, because reverb is supposed to represent just a natural acoustic space, which means if somebody was on the left, they would have more energy on the left of the acoustic space. Does that make sense? So it's essentially just mimicking natural light. We're going to do a follow main panner. Now the reason we set these up, so make sure you had moved the main fader by holding Option and click it, send it to nominal. Okay, this has to be at nominal right here. Once it's at nominal, we can go and copy it to all of the other choir groups. You're going to copy this to all the other choir members there by just holding Option and dragging the send. So make sure you get your fader to nominal by holding Option and click the fader. And make sure you switch to follow main panner and you're in pre mode. Make sure you have both pre, yeah, there you go. And make sure you switch to pre and FMP. Right? You have both pre and FMP over there. Once you have that, go ahead and hold Option and click that send. And you can just continue to hold Option, click that send, and drag it over to choir 2, drag it over to choir 3, drag it over to choir 4. However many there are, whether 6 or so. So just click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. When you do it this way, it's copying the exact setting of what you set up in that first group. So this is that. Make sure you're doing it for bus 5-6, but Option, click and drag, Option, click and drag, Option, click and drag, Option, click and drag, option, click and drag. Cool part about this is when you look at it this way, you can see, oh, the painter is left, and this painter is right, and this painter is left, and this painter is right, and this painter is left, and this painter is right. Does that make sense? So everybody's kind of got a space. Once you've done that, we're gonna add a new hotkey to your list. I want you to write this in your notes. And it's kind of interesting how this works, but the biggest reason that you're going to use this, we have to, well, you got when we did bus grouping, okay? One of the annoying parts about doing a bus group, in the same way, one of the annoying parts about doing reverb effects. Anytime you have somebody bust somewhere, if you solo the individual item, it only solos the individual item, which means if it was routed somewhere on a bus, that bus gets shut off. In this instance, with this solo, there's no reverb or effects that are on. What we want to do is we want to set it up so if we solo anybody, if they're routed to an effect, the effect always stays on. So what this is called in your notes, it's called solo safe. Solo safe. And you might want to just jot down what that is. Solo safe. This disables the muting of a given channel when someone goes to solo. So this disables the muting of a channel when someone goes to solo. Normally when you hit solo, it just solos whoever you solo. In this instance, it'll mute everybody else. In this instance, solo safe will not mute whoever you have listed as a solo safe, for the purpose of being able to hear all the routing. This is really good when it comes down to mix down. You're almost always going to solo safe all your mix buses, all of the subgroup buses. Like when we bus the drums to a group, we would solo safe the bus so that we never have to hit solo on that button. If we hit solo on a snare, it's still routed through the bus correctly. And you would solo safe all of your effects. So the actual hotkey to do it is Command and click on the solo button. Okay, so it's just hold Command and click on the solo button. There's the hotkey. Command and click on the solo button. I want you to solo save right away. I want you to go ahead and solo save all of your effects. So you can go ahead and solo save your reverb, your delay, your ambient verb, and your long delay. All you have to do is hold Command and click the solo button for each of those. It just kind of grays out. It's kind of a very subtle change. They don't make a specific color, but this is what it should look like. All right, so it's just Command and the solo button. Now go ahead and push play. What you should hear is you should hear your reverb cycle. Now, what we're going to do with the ambient verb is we may actually, we may feed, I might do an ambient verb and then feed it back into, might have to do it in order to get this to sound the way we want to feed back into the main verb a little bit more. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to the verb, and this is how this works out, okay? Now that you're in pre-mode, go ahead and take your choir group all the way down to 0, or to negative infinity, which is all the way down. Yeah, we're going to need a longer decay. Shoot, I don't like this thing. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I think we're going to have to go longer on the decay. What I would do is go ahead and pull your faders down to negative infinity. Right now, you're only hearing the reverb at that point, which is why we went to pre-mode, so we can only work on the reverb itself. Go ahead and take your ambient large all the way with your decay to 1 second, real quick. We might end up wanting to feed. Let me check it out real quick and see. Shoot. Yeah, we might end up wanting to do it this way. Yeah, let's switch. All right, real quick, please switch to church large. The ambient on here is not very good. Usually the ambient has a pre-filter set up so that it sounds ambient just off the bat, but it's not long enough. It only allows us to go to 1 second. So let's go ahead and switch over to the church mode in large. And I would take your decay up a little bit. It's going to feel a little muddy. The reason why is because we haven't, just remember this, we didn't EQ the vocals yet. So when the EQ, or when the vocals are going as a raw, like it's literally just from a raw mic vocal right into the reverb, it's going to sound a little muddy. So what we'll do is we'll clean it up on our way there in one very simple move, and then it should help us establish a cleaner ambient tone. But for now, let's just go ahead and set up the decay nice and long. Should feel kind of eerie. All right, everybody good? Yeah, I didn't take much. I just want to make sure everybody's still in that same state. Okay, now what we're going to do is, so you kind of notice, all right, well this is just literally sending raw straight to the reverb. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to set this up. We could do two things to set up this reverb so it's not too muddy or whatever. I like the fullness. I like the fullness of the vocal, but I don't like the fullness of the vocal in the reverb. And the reverb has a pass filter and a high cut, but those aren't really going to do us much good. So what we're going to do is grab the reverb, drop it down one slot. Okay, so grab the verb and just move it down one slot. All right, so all we have to do is just drag it one slot because it's a bit muddy. I'm not going to like it all the way. I might want to just take a little bit of energy out of the low mid. After you click and drag it one slot, in that first slot that it used to be on, let's go ahead and apply an EQ 7 band. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of that little area that's a little too much, okay? So you click and drag the verb down and throw an EQ before it. Let's push play, and we're going to use the technique that we used before where we go up 3 dB, and we're going to cycle, or actually we go up 6, and we're going to cycle through the band to find out where the problem spot is. And then once we find it, what do? We just take that back down. Just to thin it out. Yeah.
I don't think I'll interpret you guys for this EQ part, but how do you know when you find the problem spot?
In this instance, it's too much energy down low. I mean, you would kind of know that you get better at that as you go. But I know for what we're hearing here, is it natural for a vocal to have a lot of low mid energy? And the answer is technically no. So what we try to do is thin it out so that it doesn't muddy the rest of the mix. Because what it'll end up doing is it'll end up blurring everybody else that's playing and moving in the background. It'll kind of blur it to a point where they don't have their independent energy that they used to. So it kind of suck the life out of them. So just by doing that and understanding that, what I had everybody do on the EQ day is push to use the mid frequency, push to a +6, and sweep until we found that weird spot. And like I said, you kind of hear it in your headphones. You should kind of hear it kind of honk a little bit. And here you can kind of hear it. Yeah, it's about right there.
So it's kind of like using the church lens, but making it individual lenses.
Say it again.
It's kind of like what we're doing, like using the church thing, but just making it sound more individual. That's how the voices work.
Yeah. Well, just kind of thin. Well, the big thing is we want to thin it out. So it's like we're using the reverb, and we want to thin it out down low so that the reverb doesn't get because the reverb is going to be floating along the background. We don't want it getting in the way of non-vocals. So like where there's too much vocal energy, just because of the range that was used. If we clean it up, we'll hear the bass a little more dominantly again, and we'll hear the guitar parts a little more dominantly again. If we just let it fly, it's going to cover them up. Like what happens it's a technique. Well, essentially it's a phenomenon, really. But in audio, it's a thing called masking, where if you put two sound sources together and you allow their frequency ranges to cross over, then they take away the identity of each other. And so you couldn't look at one and go, oh, that guitar sounds nice and full, because you wouldn't know it because the vocals are too full. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's almost like just having, it's like, putting two pictures in the room and go and trying to compare them when one is a high-resolution photo and the other one is some sort of pointillism art, and going, well, which one's more clear? And you know what I mean? Which one has more fidelity? Well, one of them, because it exists in the room, it takes away from the clarity or the beauty of the other, right? Whereas if you had isolated them from each other, then they're only looked at independently. And then you all of a sudden see the identity of the information. So that's kind of how it is. So all you're going to do is thin it out a little bit, that low mid section. And then that's just kind of a responsibility to make sure all the other instruments are seen once we open them all up. I mean, it's really not a huge problem issue. It's just, it's going to help us out a little bit. I mean, and you could even, if you elected to, one additional thing you could do if you wanted it to be brighter. Now this is to taste, okay? If you want it to be brighter, you could bring in a high shelf to make it brighter. And then if you're like, well, no, I kind of like it modded and darker, you can go ahead and put it, and again, this is to taste, you can put in a low pass filter and roll it off. So what I did a little bit of blend of both. One downside, remember we did shelving. When we did shelving, it continues all the way to the end of the band. Downside to that is if we only want a range of the band, what we'll want to do is you want to roll off the high end so that it comes. So essentially we bring it back. So you can actually use both in combination with each other in the same way. I mean, I know because I did this project. This project actually went. This was distributed nationally. And when we did the final output of this, we ended up doing a modded version of the vocals like this. So we ended up doing, we had them all set up right, and it was cool, but then it was like, they're not artistic enough, so we just go back in and filter it a little more. So that in the background, they don't just sound like, because it's weird, you know, I don't know if you guys ever listen to music. Sometimes it gets weird when you hear the lead singers or the main singers doing layers in the background, because if they sound exactly like themselves, you can just imagine them just standing in the studio going, you know, it's kind of weird, but if you give it texture, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can't tell who that is or what it is or who's making it. It could have been, you know, their neighbor that they threw in the studio, and it kind of adds a different texture to it. So, and it allows the main lead vocal to still have its own identity without having to take away from it with all the other vocals. So once you set that up, and this is okay, and you're like, oh, I'm very happy with it. The one other, if you did not elect to do this kind of a mod, the one other issue you might run into, and let's go back and listen to that just for a second, is in the second section here, where this additional vocal joins us. Not that one. Oh, it's over here. Sorry, I think it's in 3. It's right here in the middle where they say one last call. All right, notice that S jumps out. Did you hear that S? Listen to it again. You'll hear this S in the middle of this ooh-ah thing. And it's because the background vocal is saying one last call, but the S is kind of over-accentuated by the reverb. So watch what happens. You hear it? I can highlight a little tighter if you're not catching it. Hear that? Well, if I do this modded filter, it should handle most of it because all that S is in the 7 and 8K. And I put my frequency at 2.79. Right? You hear how it's completely gone? If I go open it back up. Well, if you did not want to kill the whole thing, you can use a processing technique called de-essing. And in de-essing, it's literally just a processor that the de-esser is basically essentially like a volume gate. It's not a compressor because it's not actually going to compress the sound. It's like a volume gate that allows it to isolate just one frequency, and when that one frequency shows up, it'll pull the volume down just temporarily until that frequency's gone. So if you wanted to do that, instead of doing a full-on filter, and I do this all the time, I have to de-ess in my reverbs all the time because of this kind of stuff. We could just take the reverb down one more bank, and in the middle slot here after the EQ, we'll go to multi-channel plugin, and we will go to, it should be under Dynamics, Dyne 3 de-esser. And all we have to tell the de-esser here is hey, we pick a frequency, 7 or 8K is usually pretty good. We just need to tell it by how much we want it turned down. So watch what happens here. All right, when it's all the way up, it doesn't do anything, but I start pulling it down, you'll see the gain reduction for that S. Listen to it. I can pull it all the way out. This is what it sounds like. Just for that one section. Right? You hear how the S went away? Usually when you do this, you want to just be careful to not do it too much. If you do it too much, it makes people sound like they have a lisp. And all the singing will always sound like this because you're not allowed to have a full S. Does that make sense? So you got to be a little careful on how much you use it. So the de-esser is essentially only focused on S's and T's, and they reside in the 7/8K. The reason we need them out of our reverb is because when they're in our reverb, they go for like forever. You know, that one, if you go back to the original line, they just say last call, like last call, that's it. But in the reverb, because it's a really high frequency and it's very accentuated, it just jumps out. So we either, again, you could either put that that low pass filter that I use in the EQ, or you could just do a very simple DS technique here and just tag the range by a little bit, you know, enough to get rid of it just for that one spot, so it doesn't stick out. The thing about it is that you don't notice it now, but when we open it up in the mix, that reverb is going to be floating along, and it sounds smooth and everything, and all of a sudden there's this just weird S that just jumps out at like 3 dB extra. And so we have to curtail it before we get there. Craziest part that I didn't know before I started, like when I was early on as an engineer, is if you don't DS early, then when you go to mastering and they go and they compress the snot out of it and turn everything up, then they have to DS somehow on your master mix. And the cool part about doing it in the mix, when you do it, is it only isolates that one instance that frequency is used, which means you don't have to go in and EQ out the whole track worth of high frequency. It's just going to jump at it at that one time. We're going to come back to de-essing a little bit later. Anyway, so you could elect to use it or not, or you could just, I mean, for me, I'm probably just going to use that. I might back it off just a touch. Just use my low pass filter and deactivate my de-esser. All right, so here's where we are right now. I would make sure real quick, I'm going to let you guys make sure you have that set up. Just play through it, make sure you're happy with it. You have the bus send and the EQ the way you like it. And I'm just going to give you about 2 minutes to process that. And as soon as we're done with that, we're going to move on and throw these guys into the mix. And then we'll go to the long delay effect. Yeah. Oh, because you sent these to audio input. The A56 is an input. You need to switch them to bus 5.6. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So just do the one on the left, set it up, and then copy it back over. You should be fine. Everybody else has. You all caught up, right?
Yeah, wait, I did the rounding right.
No, you went to 1.2. You should have gone to 5.6.
You mean like right here?
Yeah. So these guys all need to be. Well, actually, what we had done here is I just left these up there. So that we could use them if we needed them, and I put 5.6 down here. But you already have these on, so what I would do is grab and turn them off for now. Just turn them down for now, so that all their faders are down. Yeah, because we didn't need them so far. I was going to throw it back in a 1.2 if I could get enough energy out of it. Sometimes a single board just doesn't get it enough. So, and then on this, just add a new one and do bus 5.6 and set it the same way you had the other ones. So like. Set the volume. So there's the fader. You can set the volume to nominal, do pre and follow main pan. Yeah, there you go. So do pre and follow main pan, and then click option and copy it onto each of those groups, and you should be able to push play and have that feed. Okay, good. No, that's fine. I mean, you're gonna kind of play with it, feel out what you like. But like I was telling the class, some of it is literally artistically to taste. Yeah. In this instance, it is because this is just a special effect. It's not like it's the main line. So, be creative. Oh. Okay, once you've set that up, what I'd like for you to do is I would like for you to, because it's right now it should be kind of like this. I would like for you to blend this into the mix by unsoloing your group. And because these are the only people that are in this reverb, if you need more or less, you're going to turn it up in the verb. But what you might want to do, so don't turn up the sends, please. Turn up the main verb because you'll overdrive the reverb itself. But if you need more energy or if you want more of the raw, because right now this is what we call 100% wet, which is 100% affected by the verb. If you need more raw or dry, go ahead and pull these groups up. They won't affect the bus send itself. But go ahead and unsolo them.
And you can't explain all the colors as they come tonight. Let them come tonight. Say you're the one that's gone before they cut their veins. Would you come out tonight? Come out tonight and say what you need to say. 'Cause you're bright light, you're the wondrous voice, and you can't explain.
Shoot. Work out for you. You're all good right now. You're just working out?
Yep.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this special effects long delay. So, okay, so any questions on that so far? I'll just say this. We use this technique a lot for background vocals, for oohs and ahs, that kind of stuff. If you want to just have a special effect, you could do this on a guitar. You could do it with drums. There's a lot of different variations of how you use pre-fader mode. Another technique that's used a lot is to switch to pre-fader mode at the end of a song and have instead of the end of a song be a fade out of a lot of artists do this. They'll do a fade out on a dry vocal. So the very last line of a song is a dry vocal without a lot of effects. Or on the other end of the spectrum, they'll do a very wet vocal that actually tails off to effects. So when you push stop, you notice your reverb goes on for a while. Some songs are designed to actually do that at the end. And so what they'll do is they'll switch over to pre-fader mode, and when the vocal stops, the dry original vocal stops, they actually just automate the volume so that the pan on the fader on the reverb just goes up as the song goes down. So if the song goes down, the reverb goes up, and it makes it feel like it kind of exchanges from dry to wet, and then it eventually tails off with that last kind of splash that you hear at the end. Kind of a cool effect. But what we're going to do next is we're going to do special effects long delay. Special effects long delay, you hear all the time. And there's two ways to do it. So a long delay is when you actually hear actual lines or words or phrases. So we have a short delay, and the short delay is very splashy. It just sounds like they're in an auditorium. So the short delay was this guy. I'll bring it up for, I think, this one. Now that we're in solo safe mode, you can hear it a lot better. So on the lead vocal,
You're a wondrous voice, and you can't explain all the colors.
So that's your short delay, right? So the short delay, kind of, again, sounds like you're in an auditorium. It's kind of a very quick, splashy delay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a long delay. And a long delay is designed to repeat words or phrases. So like if he's singing, we're going to do it for the beginning. In the verse is where we're going to begin to set it up. And then we might even elect to do a medium delay in the chorus. But his opening line is one word, and then he goes to save us all. But in a long delay, what you get to do is go one word, and let there be some sort of repeat in an effect mode. Now there's two ways to do it. The weird part about it is sometimes people envision a long delay. They're sitting in the studio going, oh, I want my long delay to sound like this. Well, the problem is if the vocalist didn't sing the line in time the way the delay should be put out, they actually have to go in and overdub the delay, which means instead of actually making the delay effect that we're going to do today, sometimes you're required to actually re-record the line in order for the delay to work out in time. A lot of times that happens if like they want if two words are too close together and the word that they want delayed is the first word of the two, but the words are so jammed together that you hear the vocalist transition to the second word too quickly, and they want the effect on the first. Well, sometimes you can't isolate it. It doesn't sound natural to isolate it that way, so it's just easier to have somebody go back in and re-sing it, and then you just effect mod it the way you would do it here. And so that's another additional path to getting this kind of stuff. Sometimes you have to do it, though, again, when you get into real tight transitions. Like if you've ever heard songs where it sounds like the transition from the chorus to the vocal is literally a fluid line, that's a point where if you wanted to delay something on the way there, you couldn't get out a single word. It would be the whole phrase, and then if a breath was in the middle, it would catch the tail end of the breath, which gets real weird in a delay. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up for automated special effects long delay. We have to do two things to get this, and this is the fun part, okay? And this is really easy. Like if you guys, I'll just say this. You guys, I remember when I was in college, if you guys have significant others that don't understand what you do when you're working on this process, just let them know. I may have to repeat this 100 times. You might not want to be in the room, right? Because I used to do that all the time in college. People would be like, why are you repeating it so many times? Because it's annoying. This is a very repetitious part because you got to get it right. But you're literally going to have to sit here and listen to it until it gets right. And what you're going to hear is the ugly part of it, and then we're going to go back through and process it correctly. Okay? But we can't process it first and then expect it to sound right without having to get our hands dirty. So what we have to do is we're going to activate a long delay. It's going to be painful to hear, and you're going to have to kind of listen through it. Okay? So, and what I mean by listen through it is you kind of have to follow where the lead is. So in order to do this, we're going to solo Vox 1 and highlight the Vox 1 clip. Okay? Solo Vox 1, highlight the Vox 1 clip. And then for now, let's go ahead and mute all the other effects except the long delay. So that reverb delay and the ambient verb are off. So just so we don't have to deal with any of them feeding through. After which, let's go ahead and on bank C on Vox 1, let's go ahead and set up bus 7/8. Now, bus 7/8, essentially, we can set this up at nominal, and you can just hold an option and send it to nominal. We're going to run in post for now, and we'll see if we need to switch to pre. I don't think we will for this particular instance. And again, if you want to switch back to this other view, hold Command, click the arrow so you can see it right here. That's bus 7/8 that we're sending from Vox 1, and make sure bus 7/8 is listed over here. So this is how it's going to sound. It'll be fun, all right?
One word to save the song beyond what's true.
So what we have to do, and usually what I do when I have an artist in the room, a lot of times they'll tell me, oh, I want a long delay and I want it here, here, and here. And so the easy thing to do is just go, okay, either write down which words you want me to delay, or just sit here in the room and go, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. But we have to listen to them all because we have to set up the effect first, okay, before we can do all the automation. We want to do automation last, because remember why? If we do automation first, we may have to go back and rewrite it over top, and then we might not have it right, and we end up chasing our tail and waste a lot of time. So instead, we're going to set up the effect first. First thing we're going to do with the effect to make it easy for us, okay? We're going to use a bandpass on this effect. Do you remember what the bandpass was? We talked about it a couple weeks ago or a week ago. We're going to use a bandpass. It's going to be in the EQ. What we're going to do, and this will help us identify this whole thing. A bandpass is just a high pass and a low pass filter combined. So all I'm going to do here is go and activate my high pass, turn up my Q, activate my low pass, and turn up my Q, and then I'm going to bring them in towards the middle. It doesn't really matter where. You'll listen to what it does.
One word to say to someone whole beyond what's true. One heart to breathe the night to.
So go ahead and throw that filter on. It's going to be on your long delay real quick. So you're going to throw that on your long delay. It's going to help you identify which one's the delay and which one's the original as you're pumping through this. You can pick any point, you can kind of mod it as wide or as tight as you want it. The wider it is, the more natural it sounds. The tighter it is, the more affected it sounds. But you're probably going to mod this later anyway. Like, if in the mix down, you might kind of toy with this. So you can't mess it up. You just want to at least activate it so that it's on. So again, that's the low pass and the high pass filters there. What we're going to do next is as soon as you have this, we just need to go back to the delay on the long delay, and let's just confirm that half note's going to work for us. I'm actually going to switch to whole, see how long whole goes.
One word to say.
Yeah, whole's going to take too long. Okay, so half note should be good. So we need to do one small thing to make this fly so that it sounds left-right. What was it? We did it on Monday. To make our delay sound like it's in stereo, what do we have to do? Our delay is in stereo, but right now it's reporting mono. Why? No, technically they are left and right. They are panned correctly. What's the issue? Go ahead, Grady.
They're both the same delay times we need to offset one.
Exactly. It's the thing is the vocal is mono. So the vocal's mono, which means when it's sent to the delay, it actually hits the delay as a mono channel. If the timing on the left is exact to the timing on the right, you see the left delay says 566.0, and on the right it says 566.0, it will essentially report in a left-right spread that feels like it's in the center. So what do? We just have to augment one side. I usually just pick right so that left is always the actual time. So all you have to do with it is just move the right about 20 to 40 milliseconds later. So you could make it 600, up to 600, and it won't screw it up so that it feels weird, but it'll move it enough that it feels left-right all of a sudden. Oops. It's 660. There we go.
One word.
So now all of a sudden your width should have showed up, okay? One other thing we're going to do, well, actually we should wait. Let's wait till we isolate the timing. I have one adjustment that we need to do that we didn't do on the original one, but we kept it that way so it's clean. This one needs to be a little more, so I'll show it to you. Okay, so right now we're looking at single repeats, okay? All we have to do is isolate which words that we want to use as part of the phrase. So let's just say I'm going to give you a list of words. If I can find that. There's my okay. I'm going to give you a list of words that I want you to isolate in this phrase, okay? The ones that I want a repeat on will be word, hope, heart, and then when you get into the next line, actually might be too busy to do the next line. I might have to skip one. Let's do love. There's a love towards the end. I'll show you where that's at if you're lost. Because it'll be too much to have it always go. One downside to doing the repeat effect is if you do it too much, it gets kind of boring. So we have to do some spacing in it. So we're going to do the opening. It's like the second word of each phrase. It'll say one word, and it'll say a line, and the next one will say one hope, and do hope, and the next one will say one heart, heart. But then in the next phrase, you're going to skip that whole next line, and then you won't see it again until he says love. So this is the part that gets a little, you got to get your hands dirty on this part. you're going to have to go in and automate this phrase by phrase for each line. So you're going to have to find the line, and then you're going to automate the line to be open or closed for this. And this is how we do it, okay? So in your notes, I want you to write this down real quick. In your notes, I want you to write this down. Automating a repeat delay or a long delay. You can write in automating a repeat delay or a long delay. Technically, there are several ways you can get at it, but the easiest way to get at it is to go, step one, go to the track view selector of the selected track, go to the track view selector of the selected track, and select the bus send mute. So you're going to go to the track view selector of the selected track and select the bus send mute. You could do it with volumes, but volumes are painful to have to do. In some instances, you're forced to do a volume because it's just so tight you can't get away with it. Muting is the best course of action. Now here's the thing. You could automate the delay itself. But if you automate the delay itself, you're leaving the whole feed, like everything they're saying is going to be sent to the delay, and it'll continue repeating, and then the repeats tend to overlap from each other. So like, if you were trying to isolate just this one word, if you only muted at the aux level and did the automation at the aux itself, you'd still have the previous word being fed into this. So you can't easily isolate it. The easiest way is to do it on the original track as a send mute. And all we're going to do, and this is the key step here, is you're going to switch to mute. Step 3, mute the send on the bus send itself. So step 3, mute the send on the bus send itself. Now we did this on Monday, so we're going to kind of use some of the same steps. Step 4, highlight the word with the selector tool. Okay, so I'm going to go find it real quick.
One word.
All right, so I got to kind of zoom in so I can find the actual. So watch how this works. So I'm looking at the send bus 7/8 mute.
One word.
I might have to do 1 if I can't get words separate. Watch what happens. I'm going to highlight it with the selector tool. I'm going to highlight it. In your next step, grab the trimmer tool and pull up the mute so it's not muted. That's essentially your final step there. So grab the trim tool and pull up the automation so it's not muted. And then you're just going to keep repeating that for each line. So once I've done that, what happens is, and here's the key, you have to, when you're writing the automation, you have to start with the bus send muted. If you start with the bus send on, then your automation's not, you're going to be automating all your off points. Notice there's only 4 on points, right? So instead of having to automate all the areas that it's off, you just automate the simple 4 areas that it's on. So we started with a muted, and then all we have to do is highlight it with the selector tool, and grab it, drag it, and pull it up. So let's see.
One word to save us all. One hope.
So all right, so here's hope.
One hope.
Hope, right? Switch the trimmer, click and drag.
Hope.
Now the cool part is if you get a little off, if you're like, oh man, I just barely missed it, make sure you're in slip mode. Go use the grabber tool, and then you can just click on the breakpoint and drag it where it belongs. So like if it's a little too close here or there.
Hope. One hope. Beyond what's true. One heart.
So here's heart, trimmer tool, drag it up.
Heart. One heart. To bleed.
And then this whole phrase is going to go. So we just got to wait until he says love.
Your touch is all I need. One more.
Actually, you know what? We could do moment.
To be.
Yeah, let's do moment. I'll add that to the list.
One moment. To be complete. One moment. All I need. One moment.
Actually, Actually, I might do. Let's see.
One moment to all I need. One moment to be complete. One word.
Oh goodness, I forgot about this particular phrase. Sorry, I forgot that this part repeated.
All I need.
Let's do one word one more time.
To be complete. One word. One word.
Let's see.
One word. One word. One word. One word. Oh, would you say? Would you say? What needs to be said time and time again? Let your words be so clear. Let love time and time again come sit. Let love, let love, let love, let love, let be so clear. Let love, time and time again, come save the night, come save the night.
Okay, I'm actually going to modify this. Let's see. Okay, so now that that's done, the only question is do I want the ones? Because I know all these are most groups are. Before all that, he says the word one, so I might actually want it. Let's see. I'll open it up.
One word to save.
You know what? I'm going to do ones because it's a little too tight to do word. So I'm going to modify this real quick. Actually, let's see. Which ones did I do? I did one. See, and to fix this, all I'm going to have to do is just move the breakpoint. Move the breakpoint, done. Let's see.
One word to save a song. One hope beyond one hope beyond what's true. One heart to bleed the night. One heart to bleed the night till it becomes a part of you. Your touch is all I need. One moment to be complete. One word could save us all. Would you say? Would you say? What needs to be? All I need you. Your touch is all I need. One moment to be complete. One word could save us all. Would you say? Would you say? What needs to be said time and time again? Let your words be so clear. Let love time and time again come save the night. Come save the night.
Okay, so let me write this down for you. I'm gonna have you guys switch over and do this real quick, and then we have a couple modifications we're gonna do right at the end once you guys have got that done. So all of these are gonna switch to, so you can jump into doing these. Go ahead and get these set up. All your steps. You're gonna go ahead and do. You're gonna do one. Sorry, right these. You're gonna do one word. One word. One hope. One heart. Let's see, I think I did your touch. And one moment. And I think the last one I did was just let love. And that's it. You can isolate those. Again, you're gonna solo the vocal one and mute the other one so that you have only the long delay open. Good job, man. Don't quick, huh? sure before you start automating, just make sure that you start in the muted position with the bus end muted first. Yeah, so that your line is down. Yeah. Just make sure before you guys start your automation, don't forget to mute the bus first. Mute the bus first. Then it'll drop. You'll notice that it worked because it drops your blue line, or that blue area, it drops it down, so the line goes down. Oh, you're on the wrong one. Yeah, it needs to be box 1. Switch it to medium. When you switch it to medium view on box 1, go to the ruler, switch it to medium view, like right there, the ruler. Yeah, switch to medium view. I'll open up that. Yeah, there you go. And you can switch down. Plus, mute the aux send. So the send from that vocal 1 that's going to bus 7/8, open it up, or you can just hit mute right on there. Yeah, mute it first. Is that what you're going to ask, Miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure it's muted first, and then you can automate away. Dylan, are you not finding the? You're not in the. You don't seem to be in the right view. Yeah, so your track view selector needs to go to bus 7/8 mute. It's where it says waveform. Bus 7/8 mute. Bingo. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And now you can. And make sure you mute it first though, because yours is still. See how it's blue? That means it's still open. It's not the vocal. Solo vocal. Mute the send. So we'll go to the mix window and open up the send. That one right there. That yeah. If you could command and click it. There you go. And hit mute on it. So that it starts in the muted position. And then you're just opening it. And your track view. Oh, click right here. For some reason, your track view is a little off. Right there. Yeah, click it. Hit medium. There you go. Switch your track view. Right here. Yep. See, bus 7/8 view. There you go. Now you're working with it. Okay. You're all right, right? You good, right?
Yeah.
You okay, bud? You're okay. Oh no, hold on. This track view selector needs to go to bus 7/8 view up above where it says waveform. Bus 7/8 view. Yeah, there you go. And then unmute that. You just needed to mute your send, which you already did. So you can unmute that track. Good. Nice work. Looks good. Yes.
Yeah, so we moved the 7/8 on the box.
Yes.
Alright, so I did this and I didn't get the delay on the vocals.
Now your send mute for that vocal. I'm sorry, in your track view selector off to the left. That does say send 7/8 mute, right? Or send.
Oh, since.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now go to your mix window. Something must be wrong with it in the mix window because it's sending. Is that final push play? Oh, you don't have any volume on your bus send. No, go to Vox 1, the channel on Vox 1 there. Yeah, right there. Go to the 7/8. See the 7/8 send doesn't have any volume. It does. Just hit option so it goes to normal. Or hit, hold option, click it so it goes to normal. There you go. Now try it. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yep. Is it letting you? Yeah, if you click it, drag it, pull it up. Click it, drag it, pull it up. When it's bracketed down, click it, drag it, pull it up. It should let you do it. Yeah, there you go. Let go. There you go. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see. It just does it really quickly. You're good, right? All right. Well, I'll just say this. There's a couple more things we have to do to this to make it sound spot on. There's a little bit of timing that we need to just adjust for in the delay, and then we're going to set up feedback on the delay, and then we're going to reroute it back to the verb so it sounds a little more natural, the way it should. But for now, because of time, if you guys have wrapped up automating the actual word selection, you can go ahead and save it, and you are dismissed. If some of you are still working on it, I would just at least get through the wording before you leave. Just get them all automated so that on Monday we can all start together by cleaning the actual delay up